But as I was kind of saying, it kind of established Snively as probably being smarter than he looks and being able to do what Eggman couldn't do, and that's conquer the freedom fighters. That's conquer New Mobotropolis. Now, besides that, there've been, and besides the fact, besides that, a lot of people felt that it was filler, but it definitely kind of showed that here you have, like I said in part one, I think I said in part one, I'm not really sure, but like I said, or I'm saying for the first time, it showed that there are other forces they have to deal with out there, including a force that, with its power, can take control of anything technologically sounded. They could, for example, she took control temporarily of Bunny's cybernetics. She took control of Nicole temporarily. Things like that. So it kind of showed that the freedom fighters are not always invincible. That, there are going to be forces out there that are probably more powerful than Eggman, and even Eggman, probably being the egomaniac that he is, probably doesn't realize it. And again, that's one thing, whether you want to agree with it or not, it does kind of, you got to give Ian credit. He took a group like the Suppression Squad, the Anti-Freedom Fighters, whatever you want to call them, and he established them as a force. He basically, for almost 10 issues, he basically had them for about 10 issues establish how much of a badass team they can be by having them do something that Ken Penders and Cole Bowles hadn't been building to, and yet out of the blue he did. He built to this opportunity. He said, you know what? Let's have the let's have the Suppression Squad take over. Take over Knothole, take over Freedom HQ and see what happens. And that's what he did. He even established the fact that Scourge can be even more badass with the Chaos, with, I guess you could say, his version of the Chaos Emeralds, which I thought was a cool move as well. So he did that, and whether we like to agree with it or not, it was a bold move, and it established the fact that the Freedom Fighters have more than just the Eggman Empire to worry about. And whether I want to admit it or not, he has made a bold move at times by having more female villainous being established. Of course, Fiona's betrayal caused that, and of course before her we had Linda. So that's something. But again, even without Linda, that's what, 2 villainesses, right? You had Linda, and then who did you have afterwards? Let's see. You had Linda, you had Fiona. Oh yeah, you have the Iron Queen, so that's 3, right? And then you have Conquering Storm, that's 4. And then later on, let's see, who else do you have? You have, well, now you have Sally in her mecha form, temporarily, I might add, being a villainess. And who knows who else will be added to the roster. You see, these are things that Ken and Carl never really, explored. These are areas they never explored, and yet Ian Flynn has done that. He has explored these opportunities, these options, and they never did. He's done it, whether we like it or not. Whether we like what he's done with Sally or not, he's explored the option of another villainess. And to me, I said this before in a video, when and where and should she ever be restored, which I think she will be, she's going to look back on this and say, you know what? We may show mercy to the likes of the Destructives. We may show mercy to the Suppression Squad. We may show mercy to the Iron Dominion. But you know what? The hell with Eggman. Let's take him out once and for all. And that's probably what's going to happen. What I'm waiting for is for Ian to have Sally say something down the line, mechanized or not, hopefully to someone like, say, Eggman, to paraphrase what Michelle Pfeiffer said in Batman Returns, something like, life's a bitch, and now so am I, or have it kind of like symbolized, iconed out, basically, by saying life's a blankety blank, and now so am I. Basically telling Eggman, hey, thanks to you, our life's been a bitch, and now because of you, so am I. So I think that I'm just waiting for something like that to come out down the line, whether she's mechanized with free will or total free willed in flesh and blood or something. I can't wait for something like that to be said. But again, these are things that Ken and Carl never explored, and whether we like it or not, Ian has explored them. He has said, you know what, let's give life to these opportunities. And this whole situation going on right now, whether we like it or not, everything that's kind of going downhill, I can't wait for Eggman, probably Ian Flynn, to write a line for Eggman to Sonic and saying, now you know how I felt when you broke me. Now you know how I felt when you made me go insane. Because of all those times, you never let me have one victory. Not one victory. It always had to be you winning. Now you know how I feel. I mean, that is something that I cannot probably wait to read down the line when I do my overall review of this entire thing when it's all said and done. But, you know, that's just me. That's just me. And maybe that's hopeful thinking. Maybe that's hopeful thinking down the line, but you know what? Hey, as a longtime fan, it's something that I'm hoping happens. You know. And, you know, you got to look at this in another way. Whether we like it or not, whether we like all the shit that's going down, that's coming down, excuse my language, this is Sunday, so excuse my language, Lord. But whether we like the shit that's being rained down on the good guys or not, the more shit that's rained down, the more greater the victory is going to be for them. The more, as a lot of people are hoping for, the more character development is going to come out of them. I mean, take a look at Sonic. According to some people, he's starting to realize, you know what? I've been a jerk. I've been cocky. I shouldn't be cocky. You know, basically, he's got character development-wise very limited that he can give him. Sonic's basically realizing in the comics, you know what? I can't be this jerk anymore. I can't be this this cocky, childish guy anymore. I got to grow up and focus and be serious, you know, about our missions, about taking down Eggman. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen down the line. That's what I feel is going to happen down the line. And again, the same with Sally, whether she's restored free will first or the entire 100% thing, that's what I feel is going to happen. And I just think it's something that Ian Flynn's going to explore down the line. You know, and the same can be said. And like I said, the same can be said for this whole situation. I mean, if you want an example from, let's say, a pro wrestling aspect, look back in the mid-90s with WCW NWO deal. From 96 to the end of 97, for over a year, you had the NWO dominating WCW. Yeah, WCW had a small victory, tiny victory here and there, but there was mostly NWO domination. Come Starrcade 97, WCW finally had that great victory that was being built up from. I mean, they were basically, just like with the Freedom Fighters right now, they basically had all this shit laid down on them, rained down on them by the NWO. Come Starrcade, they got that victory. They finally got back the victory. They finally got back the momentum. And then, of course, that led 98 into the temporary breakup of the NWO, which on one side you had NWO Wolfpack, Red and Black. You had the Hollywood faction. You had the One Warrior Nation for a very short time, and you had WCW. So if you want to look at it from this current comic book storyline, you have NWO Hollywood, which could be like the Eggman Empire. You have the Wolfpack, which could be like, say, the Secret Freedom Fighters, maybe the One Warrior Nation, depending on which one you think's better. You have possibly Snively and the Iron Queen, which could be more of a One Warrior Nation, because maybe you can throw Bunny into that equation, and maybe Lupe or whoever. And then down the line, you know, throw in something like, say, and then you have WCW, which is like the Freedom Fighters, or the Mobians, that'll basically have their hands tied behind their backs. And let's not forget what happened in '98. WCW had a huge victory when Goldberg won the world title. And that's basically, along with what happened in December of '97, could happen, cope with that, you know, cope together with two of the biggest victories that kept WCW on top, basically kept the momentum in their favor, despite an NWO reunion and all that. You know, so that's exactly the way I look at it with the story. You have the Freedom Fighters, Team Fighters, whatever you want to call them, the good guys, basically having all this shit rain down on them, and sooner or later, probably by 250, we hope, the momentum's going to go back in their favor. Maybe leading up to it, you're going to have full momentum back in their favor. So, whether we like what Ian's doing right now, I think that's exactly how he's got it planned out. And you know what? We have to agree, it's probably the best thing going right now for the comic, whether we like it or not. You know, whether we like it or not, we gotta admit it's the best thing going for the comics. So, you know, again, I've come out and I've said, look, I don't like what's happened to Sally. I'm questionable about Antoine right now, and I'm questionable about Bunny's situation. But overall, you gotta admit it's a great story and it's got great build to it. So hopefully I've established through this that I am middle grounded, whether people like it or not. And hopefully this kind of helped out things, helped explain that I am, like I say, I am middle grounded, that there is no real choosing of sides, and I do apologize if it sounds like I've been one-sided this whole time before this. So comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll talk to y'all later.